Live now, Onslaught. It's wait for it, game changer. So we'll play that in a little bit. This topic and more coming up on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars: The Old Republic. Our broadcast astromech tonight is EPC 314, who's right over somewhere. There it is. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
Well, like you said, it's Onslaught week and it's going really well. I mean, we had one server reset so far, and that's it. And for me, anyway, the game's been really stable and playable, and I'm happy. So I started with my mercenary. I know that's shocking. And I got the story. At this point, I'm almost done with the story. I haven't done the flashpoint yet because I got distracted by the pub side story on my commando. And I actually played that through I'm about halfway through the mech shop part now. But I will go back and pick up the flashpoint and finish the story and get the rewards for that, because we were thinking that maybe that's where you got the tactical that you have.
I don't remember.
Um,
I don't remember
yeah,
where I got. I think I got it
it's a
at
lot
the end
of
of the story.
there's a lot of stuff also. However, I do have my gear level up to like around 274, and the way I've done that is today, while I was working and doing some other things, I also had my treasure hunter running missions. And I got this idea from our guildie Medulla, who had done it at work also, just a bunch of, anyway. So I was in the process, I leveled up treasure hunting, and but I was doing those gear lock boxes, and I would put them in my legacy bank and then go open them on my merc, which I don't know if that made any difference. Well, it did make a gear level difference, because as her gear level started to increment up, she was getting slightly higher gear pieces, but they were not necessarily for her spec, but still.
So the treasure hunting
So I did that.
boxes, you were able to put those in legacy storage and then open them on a different character and affect the
Yeah,
contents?
yeah.
Oh.
Well, I'm pretty sure I was affecting the contents. Like I
Well,
didn't.
I'll be able to try it
Yeah,
cuz my only treasure hunter is like level 60.
yeah.
So
My
I'll give it a
treasure hunter
shot.
was level 70, but yeah. It occurs to me that my treasure hunter is level 70. Um, but yeah, so I and then I went and did upped my crew skills max just to 700 on a couple of my characters, and leveled that up too, because as you're doing the story, you get quite a few points for gathering if you have a gathering crew skill. And then just to finish it off, I did a few crew skill missions to finish off leveling bioanalysis and scavenging on my merc. I haven't leveled biochem yet because I don't really know if I want to yet, or if it's worth spending the mats. I mean, I have to look at what I can make and all that.
Sure.
Um, which I'll do eventually, or soon, I should say. But yeah, I am. They said October 22nd, and they did it.
They did it. They did, didn't
Yeah,
they?
so we just did our ops night where we went, and basically we thought we would go quickly do an ops, which we with a group finder, and ended up in Tomorrow's courtyard as the first thing. We thought, well, even better, we'll just knock this off and then go do something else. Well, that did not happen. Toboro, I mean, the Golden Fury pretty much knocked us off, around something.
Phrasing.
Um, I don't know if it just had a lot more health or what, but it just took forever to kill.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, then we went and did Karaga's Palace, which seemed almost completely normal. So I don't know what's going up there. But I guess we'll probably hear. Um, what else? Yeah, that's kind of what's going on with me in SWTOR right now. I can't even think about last week because this week is all
It's the new
um
hotness. It's
Onslaughttian. Yeah,
going really
yeah.
well.
So yeah, it really is. And I have to say, I told Max this before, but I did the little lead-in quest to the Operation Dachshund when I was going through town there, and I really really love the dialogue or the cutscene that we get for that, which is totally worth watching. And yeah, so how about you, Max? How has Onslaught been treating you?
It's been going great. as you say. There's a little bit of bugs here and there. We'll talk about those. We will not be doing spoilers tonight, so we won't talk about that. I did finish though the story. Oh, Comcast kicked me off. Thank you.
Thank you, Comcast.
Thanks, Comcast. Thanks for trusting me. Shut up, Nadia. We'll talk about that.
Yes.
I finished the story on my mercenary. So I went all the way through on the Imperial side, finished everything all the way through to the end. Because there's two little follow-ups after you finish the flashpoint.
The flashpoint.
But again, we won't get into too much story. I'm about 2/3 through on my Vanguard as well. I also, as you have done, I played with inventory. I played with crafting.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that.
I did crafting and gathering on a bunch of my characters. So my three main crafters that I care the most about are my arms tech, my armor mech, and my synth weaver, because they make the augments, and that augments has sort of been one of my things. So I've been leveling those up on my mercenary. Both of my gathering skills are my crew mission skill, which is underworld trading, my gathering skill, which is scavenging, and armor mech are all 700. My crew mission skill is underworld trading. My gathering skill when I started the expansion on Tuesday after the service came up was slicing. Slicing, I've had slicing. This is from the pre, sort of like the 4.0 and before days. Slicing was really important back then. That was you could sell tons of the slicing materials alone. I had slicing and still have slicing on a lot of characters, but I had slicing literally on 3/4 of my characters. But it was always sort of annoying on my main to not have any gathering skill and not have scavenging to match with armor mech, because I was making a bunch of armor mech stuff even to level up. I started from scratch. I should have done it before. I should have done it last week. I didn't. It was dumb. I started and leveled that up as well, and got to 700 on scavenging along the way. So I'll talk about that as when we get to what we've sort of how we think the systems are working and some of the crafting, because I have crafted a couple things, not very much, for good reason, but I was doing that. And then we did a little bit of stuff in our ops night tonight. We did older content. We went into Taboro's courtyard, got our butts kicked. We went into Karaga's palace, and it was a little bit harder than it had been, but not not terrible. Taboro's courtyard was very, very hard. We're not nightmare raiders, but we couldn't get him below about 55% on in story mode and before hitting enrage.
Before he enraged,
and that's not right. So it was weird. He was just he just either had way too much health, or we were doing way too low amount of damage in the tuning of however that one was tuned. But that might be unique. I mean, that might be a side anomaly. Otherwise, I've been deep into it and having a lot of fun. We'll talk about it in detail and in all of our impression of everything. That's going to be the focus of tonight. So I won't do it all now, but having a good time. What we can talk about now is the news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
So first up in the news, of course, we rewind the clock. We did get the release this week. The patch notes came out when they should have. They made their October 22nd date. I was skeptical. They hit it. They met the expectation there, which is a good job. The patch notes are massive. So if you go through them, you will learn some things that we didn't even know off the PTS. You will get the full breakdown of every single class and all of the sets, their general and class specific sets that are in the game at this point. You'll get all of the breakdown of all the general stuff, all of the highlights of the new content, and then what was down at the bottom? There's even more down here. Oh, the crew skills, the items and economy, some mission updates, the changes to Conquest, the end of the rank 10 season, etc. So go ahead, dig in. What were a couple? Do you remember anything that really stood out to you? There were a couple things that stood out. Now I forgot what they were. We should have made some notes when we first read it. Do you remember anything in particular, Seema?
Was it was before the patch notes, but I know one thing that stuck out for a lot of people last week was the new conquest target.
Right. That was
Is that
a
yeah,
challenge.
we don't really have that in news, but yeah, that was yeah, so we obviously missed our conquest target this week, but from the patch notes, I do remember that there were a couple things that we weren't expecting, but now I can't remember what they were.
Right. I can't remember either. There was a bunch of updates to free to play. Those were welcome. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. So free to play players have quite a bit more that they have access to. We knew that they were getting full access to Rise of the Hutt Cartel and Shadow of Revan. They're also, and maybe this came out somewhere, but I didn't hear about it. They can now do 10 war zones per week, up from 5. They can do 10 flashpoints per week, up from 3. You could do more flashpoints, but now you get rewards from 10 flashpoints per week, up from 3. You get 10 PvE space missions per week, up from 5. I haven't done one of those in literally in years. So that's interesting, and good. They should continue to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like there were some other things, but we'll talk about everything else that we talk about along the way as well.
Yes.
What else we got?
So we did get a post of all the known issues for
Yes, we did.
Onslaught so far, and these are the issues. These are not player reported. These are the issues that they know about, that basically they're telling us about. A lot of them are things that I personally probably would never notice at all, so they're pretty minor and not upsetting. I think one of the bigger ones was it's possible right now to spend tech fragments without having a discipline chosen. And then if that happens, you don't get the item that you paid. It takes the tech fragments, but doesn't give you an item. So make sure you have your your discipline set before you try to spend any tech fragments until that's fixed, which I'm sure will be fixed quickly. But all in all, a lot of the known bugs are things like tooltips that are not right, a few abilities of NPCs that are doing the wrong thing. Nautilans don't have dark side corruption. Yeah,
The second boss in story mode, Duxon, not dropping loot. That's a slightly bigger problem. Not terrible, but that's something they'll need to fix. This is one that bugged me, was the general chat on Onderon was not working at all. So me frantically typing messages, "Where's the weapon? I can't find the weapon. Somebody tell me where the weapon is." And no one would answer. Why don't they answer? Star Command. Command Star Command. This is Buzz Lightyear. Why don't they answer? So a couple things in there.
So
but
I guess Group Finder 2 is, there's some situations where they put 8 players into a 16. Oh, I wonder if that's what happened to us.
Oh, and well,
Group Finder operations are placing 8 players into 16-player difficulty versions of the operation.
Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe that makes sense.
Yeah, maybe it was the 16-player version, difficulty version of Deborah's
He enraged
Courtyard.
at 50%. So we were doing half the damage we should have been.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Half the tune. Half the team.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
well, there we go. Mystery
a little
solved.
bit of live research there. Yeah.
Excellent. Also in the news, there's some stuff added to the cartel market, which is kind of cool. There's, as they do, this is a thing that they do. The cartel market sale is over, unfortunately, although there's always the interim sales that they have. This restored Malgus armor is kind of cool. It does not look as cool as the Malgus model. We're gonna have to talk about that. The models of all the new characters are great. The textures on the face.
Yeah.
Tau Idar, her skin, the texture on her armor, her hair is just amazing.
That wool thing she wears on one side, yeah.
Somebody said they should really take a pass on our own characters, because
Yeah.
they look like a 8-bit character in comparison. I mean, even just look at this beast model that I'm standing next to. Just the intricate texture of, the of every piece of the armor shell that makes up this beast's model, and then look at me, like
Yeah.
my baby smooth shiny face in comparison. The new model from Malgus just looks amazing, and remember, he's
It
got like the
does.
exposed arm on one side with the metal bits embedded in his
Yes,
skin, and
looks very
his
painful.
his face is all dark sidey. It's really, really good. So that's looking good. So this armor does not look good as the regular Malgus. You're going to be a pale imitation of Malgus wearing this armor, but it's pretty cool. A couple other armor pieces, but then and a quite fine mount. Not no new favorite of mine, but the animation is pretty cool. But something that is a new favorite, scrolling down, the incinerator weapon tuning. Look at the flames. Look at the flames coming out of that blaster rifle. And it looks really cool on the lightsaber. So this is still a blue crystal in the lightsaber, but the incinerator weapon tuning gives it that heat. See, it's got like the heat distortion and the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fiery effect coming off of the blade. Both of these, I like things
That
on
is
fire
cool.
for whatever reason. Uh, this is great. I don't know what they're doing that they're able to do these really cool graphical effects. They certainly haven't upgraded the engine, but maybe they're pushing the limits of things that they wouldn't have done before. And maybe if you don't have as performant of a machine, you might be having problems with this these days. I don't know, but everything's starting to look great. I mean, better, new and better and upgraded. So cool.
Yeah.
So what have the
Um.
players been reporting as bugs, Sima?
Yes. There's been a sort of one bucket of bugs where um people can't get somewhere, or like in one case where Jakaro can't spawn or things are hanging, and the workarounds tend to take the form of just make sure you've completed anything in Kotet and coffee. Also, if you are trying to walk in and you can't get in, instead try hitting the play button. And I think maybe even I would try vice versa. I had some difficulty getting in on my trooper, even though I had pushed the button. But for me, it turned out that eventually it did work. So I don't know. Maybe it was my computer taking its own sweet time. There's also reported no guild conquest rewards, which they're obviously looking at, which turned into discussions about the whole guild conquest reward thing about not, having to meet the new target, which
Right,
people were unprepared for.
right. That was a bummer.
Um, yep, there's apparently Theron Cedrax is missing for counselors. Theron is the companion that counselors get in Nar Shaddaa that has the holographic
Holiday.
girlfriend.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Huh.
Holiday.
I forgot about Holiday.
Yeah. And yeah, then there's a few other bugs reported by players, and so
And
that's
I'm
it.
sure there'll be more. Continue to report those.
Yes.
I've had some of my own that I've run into, and they'll be fixing them. It won't be immediate, but they will be. And then finally in the news, which was a surprise, although they alluded to them thinking about it. A couple people have asked for
Right.
this over time. I've had comments on our videos on YouTube and in the comments section. I've had people message me on Reddit about it. When are they going to bring back the HK55 chapter? They did. So now it is on the
Yeah.
cartel market. If you have never done it, it's not cheap, but it's not terrible. So I think it's 3,800 cartel coins,
Mm-hmm.
and who knows, maybe they'll have sales for it at some point. There's a bug with this right now. It should unlock for your legacy if you use it, but there's a chance that it might not. They'll fix it and they'll make sure that it does. Yeah, 3,800 coins not on sale currently. Opening that making it available to everybody. It's a great chapter. It's a great piece of content. It's an opportunity to have an underwater fight scene, which you have not seen elsewhere in the game. So that's pretty cool. In community news, 6.0 is here. So AIE, our guild, AIE-guild.org, we are doing a bunch of fun stuff this week. On Tuesday was our mandatory fun night. Everybody was mostly just hanging out in guild and doing a bunch of leveling and sharing notes. We've got a spoiler channel in Discord where people are talking about story. Otherwise, our main channel in SWTOR channel in the guild Discord is spoiler free. Feel free to jump in there and ask questions, whether or not you're in the guild. That's perfectly fine. This weekend, though, we're going to do more. So I think probably both Friday and Saturday. I think Saturday's the bigger day where where Marcus has it tied to one of the other community groups and one of the other guilds who's going to start a run through a bunch of operations. And then Marcus and AIE is going to pick it up where they leave off. And we're going to continue open guild runs in all of the operations in the game, just one after another after another. It'll be an opportunity. Hopefully at that point, people have leveled up enough. You're level 75. People, if you haven't, go ahead and jump in. As long as it's not Duxon, you'll level up to 75. But it's an opportunity for everybody to start getting that gear flowing. And it does. It flows quickly. Yeah, we'll all be 306 before we know it.
Yes, gear flows and XP flows very quick.
Yep.
Also, Mega. Next month there will be one.
There will be one. Marcus is in the chat room. They just finished up their podcast, which is next on my list to talk about.
That's our next. Yep.
But Marcus,
next time.
Have we planned November? I don't remember. I don't think we planned it yet. We have some ideas. I thought we had an idea, but we didn't pick the specific date yet. But megas are our monthly Epic Guild activities. We will do one for our guild in November. We'll do some big thing, and then probably we usually just invite anybody who's on the server who wants to join in. But keep an eye out for that. Working Class Nerds in particular, and Marcus and Nick, they recorded a podcast tonight, from what I understand. And we mentioned last week, Holly Fields was on. She's the voice of Nadia. She's this sound.
Thanks for trusting me.
Shut up, Nadia. So apparently Marcus saw fit to inform Holly that we like to tell Nadia to shut up all the time, which yes. I wouldn't have led with that. But apparently Holly was a good sport about it, and we may hear about that on Marcus's podcast. That is being released it may already have hit the feeds, so check that out. Working Class Nerds, their podcast from tonight, October 24th, will include that interview with Holly, which is really, really cool. So I'm glad that they got a chance to do that.
Yeah, me too. Also, one of our guildies, Sakik, who goes by Preferred Till New Ops on Reddit, is sponsoring a 1 billion credit Ops Boss Kill Bounty contest, which he has done before, almost like at least the recent X-Packs, or the recent whenever there's a new release of Ops.
Yeah.
This time we're going to be not sponsoring, but the voice of or part of the effort to get the word out about the contest, along with Bad Feeling Podcast. And yeah, we're going to more details will be available, but it's basically going to be a contest about killing the bosses in the Duxon operations.
Yes.
1 billion credits.
Yeah, that 1 billion credits will sort of be raffled off. Your entry will be tied to killing bosses in the Duxon operation and getting various screenshots. We wanted to wait till the operation released. We wanted to wait till things settled down to make sure it was even working. So between Brian and the Bad Feeling Podcast and Preferred Till New Ops or Sakik and us, we're working that out right now. You'll see everything go out on the feeds and on Reddit and on our podcast to announce that likely next week. Hopefully we can get it together and be confident that it's going to be available to everybody. And then it's going to run for a little while, and everyone will have a chance, and everyone will get an opportunity to get in there, fight a little bit in Duxon, and however far you get, you'll be able to get some entries into those contests. So
Yeah.
it'll be cool.
And to be clear, it's Sakic who's putting up the billion credits.
Yes, it is
Not
not.
us.
It is not me or Seema. I am not giving up my tres comas just yet. And Sakic is not either. I think he's sponsoring potentially 2 billion credits. To be clear, potentially he's putting up and giving away 2 billion credits in this contest coming up, and will still be in the tres comas club.
Yeah.
Think about
Oh
that.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
it's all legit hard work. He's a crafter and runs the market, and he's got a machine and a system and spends a lot of hours every day and does a great job. It's amazing stuff. He's somebody to get to mentor you if you want to ever learn how to really make credits in the game. And as always, shout out to the chat room. Thank you everybody for being in there, chiming in, telling us how we're doing, getting us set up, answering our questions so we sound like we're smart when we hit the play button and hit the record button. We really appreciate that. And with that,
Yes, thanks guys.
why don't we talk about some changes to the game?
Game changer.
Game changer for
Game changer for the industry.
This is a game changer. It is. It feels.
Yeah, it is.
It feels like a changed game to me, and we'll talk about how we feel about it. To be clear, we won't go into spoilers. We won't talk about any of the story points. At the very end, we'll give our general story impressions. So we'll give you even a little bit of warning for that before that, if you don't want to hear any even of general impressions. But the beginning of everything we talk about, for the next 20 minutes is going to be about how we leveled up and how fast the leveling is, what the gearing feels like, how Conquest is feeling, what the environments feel like, all of that kind of stuff. The dailies, I've got a spreadsheet on all the dailies that are available, professions and crafting and that kind of thing. So don't worry about it just yet. But at the very end, when we give our general story impressions, we'll let you know. And maybe in the next couple of weeks, maybe in 2 or weeks or so, we'll talk about story in particular. Then, so without story, Seema, let's kick it off with just your overall impression of this expansion and how much of a game changer it is, and what your opening thoughts are. What is your opening argument, counselor?
My opening thought is just how smooth it has all been. I was expecting way more chaos, and it's actually been pretty smooth. I started out with, grabbing my XP armor, and then I heard that they had sent us a new set of XP armor, so I went and got that because it had amplifiers on it. I'm not sure why I guess it was to help people who had gotten rid of them or possibly couldn't find them, which is usually me. But I spent some time locating it last week. So yeah, that's what I went right to, is XP armor, and then messing around with the story. But then I immediately got distracted by that quest you get early on, where it asks you to find the 5 things, and
right, which isn't
I
even
really
part
got
of the
bogged
story.
down in that. No, I didn't know that though.
Yeah. And it's not
when I was
easy.
When I was able to just give up on that one and save it for later, then I started moving again. But my overall impression is smooth. And like XP, so much XP. Like one cutscene, after the first large cutscene, I was already at level 71.
I know, you didn't even
well,
shoot.
but that was with
you didn't even shoot anything.
Yeah,
and
that
it was
was
like at 1.5 million experience points, and now you're at level 71.
And I did have an XP boost on, and I was wearing the XP armor.
Right.
I mean,
right. And I think it was,
to be fair,
1.3 million.
I was courting the big XP.
Right.
And I got it for sure.
Right.
But what was your initial impression?
Same thing. I was surprised that they were able to get it together and get it out there. I mean, there are a couple known issues, but not. It's done.
They were confident, and they had reason.
They had a plan, and they saw it through, because that's what Brian Boitano would do. Uh, yeah, no, I kudos to the team, and great job for setting that deadline, putting it out there. I still feel like more could have been tested, and they could have gotten more feedback and more tuning, but they have an opportunity to still do that. So when we get to crafting, I'll still rant a little bit on the side about how I think it's not tuned up as well as it could be, or at all, because it's ridiculous the cost of some of these things to make. But it's there and it's in, and it's a new system, and it's a new system with meaning, and that's good. So there's crafting that's new in its new system. The gearing, I'm liking it so far. Again, it's a new system, and it feels new and it feels different to me. The game really feels different to me now, different enough that I'm rethinking how I play. I'm rethinking about how I want to even approach gear for the long term, not even just in the short term, get to 306, but in the long term. I'm rethinking about how I want to deal with crafting. This is probably for 6 years I had slicing on my mercenary, and I swapped it out and I went to scavenging. I'm just sort of, it really feels fresh in a lot of ways. And the environments, I really like what they did. As I said, the art is just becoming amazing. The textures on the character models, and Meksha. I'm a fan. I tweeted it out. This is my favorite thing ever in Star Wars, my favorite environment. I'm going to move in here, and I'm just going to live here. As you can see tonight, we're broadcasting from Meksha. Yeah.
As we will from in all subsequent shows.
Apparently. Yeah, it's great. We'll we'll get to the things that we don't like as much as well. But of those top things that I like them a lot. So that's my going in impression. So let's break it down a little bit. Let's go through some of the key things that we got to. Legacy storage of your materials. Have you put everything in your legacy material storage yet, Seema, or have you not? Because I waited. I stopped because you said not to.
All I ever said was that I was not going to.
No, you said, Max, if you do, I won't ever be back in this place again later.
I waited until Wednesday, and before I did it, I did a cursory, search of Reddit and the interwebs and everything, and I didn't see. I knew there hadn't been an explosion, and I was just looking to see if there was some other, minor explosion somewhere of like, something not working or items disappearing from legacy storage or whatever. And there was nothing, and the whole rollout had been so smooth. I just went ahead and clicked on everything Wednesday.
Now, I have not clicked on everything. I've moved some things in there to test it, and then I moved things that were in my bags in there, and then the new materials are flowing into there. I still have a few full tabs in multiple places of materials that I did not move in there because Seema told me not to. So apparently, interweb, Seema gives it the green light, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
You can start moving your materials in there and be confident that nothing's going to happen. They will be perfectly protected for all time.
I even created a new character, and I sent that character, level 1 character, to my stronghold and emptied out my legacy storage into that character's inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went back to Hutta because I didn't want to be in my stronghold on day 1. And I couldn't go to the fleet. And then after I did that, I thought, well, I wonder if there'll be some problem with level 1 characters and legacy storage or whatever. But there were no problems.
Chat room is saying,
I did leave,
and this is absolutely true. You can certainly take any items out of that materials inventory as well.
You can.
You can move all of what they call supplements, which isn't. I always call them the white materials, which isn't probably the right name for them. But the supplements are in here, including the new supplements, because now they're no longer just white. There's a green grade and a blue grade. You can move all of the crafted components. So here, like the polished plasteel arms component, you can move all of those in there, which I found really nice because I
which
had,
is huge.
yeah,
And I mean, you can move a lot of the stronghold and conquest stuff, but there's a few exceptions, things that won't move. But hopefully hopefully those are exceptions, and they'll be able to move later in time. Like I think universal prefab or
right.
things like that.
The Jawa scavenging stuff, which I guess is more of a currency than a material, doesn't move into there, which
Yeah.
is also a little bit weird because it doesn't stack when you get it. If you get it when you're hitting gathering nodes. I have a picture of my inventory I put in Discord. My entire inventory besides this bottom row was just filled up with Jawa scavenging materials because every time I'd get 3 instead of 2 or 3, they wouldn't stack. So it was getting a little crazy. All the exotics also do go into there, so that's great. And I'm
But
quite pleased.
all the superior command boosts that we bought have been converted to renown boosts, and those now stack, so you can stack those up.
If the timer has run out. And now I think the timer's run out on most of them. I had multiple timers in my bag. You can't move them into legacy storage while it still has that 2-hour countdown timer on it. And I wasn't
Right.
even able to stack them all into one stack. I had like 4 stacks because there were different timers on different renown boosts in my bag. So that was getting really weird for me a little bit in the beginning. You'll want to be clicking those renown boosts though. To be clear, and
Yep.
a couple of people were confused on this. Before I forget about it, renown is a secondary system, so you still get renown ranks. You still get where's my renown stash? So I'm renown rank 10, so that means I got 10 renown boxes. It's not like command ranks. You don't have to worry about what you get out of those boxes as much as you did need to get important stuff out of those boxes for command. For renown, it's an extra fun bonus on the side. So take them as you get them, see what you get. If you get nothing, nothing useful, it's not a problem. The main place that you're going to get gear is from playing the game. It's from doing PvP dailies and weeklies. It's from doing flashpoints. It's from doing operations. It's from getting out there and doing the stuff. It's, doing daily missions, getting your meta daily and weekly missions from CZ198. It's from completing Conquest. That's where your gear comes from, and you get a lot of it. This, which you see in my inventory, is from not even this is and I equipped some stuff even. This is just out of Karaga's Palace, so almost 30 items out of Karaga's Palace, and we didn't even kill Karaga at the end. So
Right.
4/5 of Karaga's Palace, and I ended up getting 30 items of both gear and mods and and gear and mods and weapons, and a couple item ranks went up on my item rating, which is now up to 273. It's not 274 where Seema's is, but I have it's 273, and now I shall read my stats. I'm not gonna read my stats. Oh, but see, my accuracy is 110. Watch it. Have you seen this? I don't know where I got this. I think I got this from completing the story, but this tactical that I have is called Kral's Accord. And when you equip it, what it says is it cycles between enhancing mastery, accuracy, power, defense, crit, absorb, alacrity, and shield in that order, 5 seconds each. So you get a boost to each of those, and it cycles through 5 seconds each, and it just keeps rotating. So if you see on my bar this little countdown going on, that's what's going on here, which I think is a little, it's
I think that's a little chaotic.
a little
'cause
chaos.
that's
Yeah, it's just
nothing that you could
chaos.
ever take advantage of, really.
Right. So now it's
Like
absorbed.
you're never gonna say, "Oh, I've got 5 seconds of defense."
I'm not going
right
to
now, so I
pause
can
my
go-
rotation to wait till the alacrity
I'm gonna
comes
go
around.
I'm gonna go stand in front of the bots for a second.
Right. And so it's a little weird, a little chaotic, but
Yeah,
it's a thing.
that's cool.
And that they're supposed to be weird and unique that way. The flavor text on it is, "You are now prepared for any conflict. Rise, disciple." And that's from Lord Kral. All right, fine, bring it. I want more weird stuff like that. So cool. All right,
And we're
what's
both glad to finally officially have our double charge of Rock It Out
yeah.
or propulsion round.
Oh, places that I can't even use it if I wanted to. Let me count the ways. We got to the first fight of Karaga's palace. Which is the Rancor. Here's a fight that I can certainly not use 2 charges of Rocket Out on. How many other fights in this place can I not use it even if I wanted to? Would something really bad happen? Probably plenty. Whatever. I
But how do you really feel about double charge of Rock It Out?
It's useful for PvP. To be clear, it's useful for PvP. And where so Medulla was making fun of me. He's like, "Well, surely you took the smokescreen passive utility point max, which is Rocket Out generates a smokescreen when used, keeping you from being leapt to or pulled to, and making you immune to interrupts and ability activation pushbacks for the next 4 seconds." No, I did not take that because I don't rock it out in PvE. Salt, salt, salt. That's right, Galahard. That's me. I'm salty about my stupid rocket out, my second charge of rocket out. The other weird thing, though, okay, so here's a bit of feedback. They put this idea of charges. A bunch of things got the charge counter on it that don't actually have charges. Maybe until you get like a tactical potentially, or a set bonus which changes it.
Yeah.
So it gets a little weird. It is a little disturbing in some ways, and we'll get used to it. But like here, having a 1 charge of Power Surge. Power Surge is weird because I've got the talent which gives Power Surge 2 charges on my next ability, but it's only 1 charge of Power Surge. So it says 1 here, but when I click it, then I get to shoot Tracer Missile twice. That's weird. It doesn't completely fit. And then now I've got these 1 charges on these things that only get 1 charge, because I only get 1 charge on Power Surge and I only get 1 charge on Thermal Sense Override. So why are you telling me I only have 1 charge? Of course I only have 1 charge. That's all the charges there are. Now, maybe those can be infected in other ways, and that's why they're doing it. So fine. It's still a little bit
Well,
weird.
I am assuming that once you use it, it turns to 0, right? And then it tells you that you're.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so does the cooldown.
Right. But as soon as I use Electro Dart, Electric Dart goes on cooldown, and it doesn't say 1 or 0. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
it's
you're
weird because then it never gets above 1. So it's just 0. And then
It goes to 1.
I want it to go to 11. Give me 11 rocket outs. My rocket outs go to 11. Next up, I did have the note on the XP armor. I didn't realize that the new set that you got had amplifiers on it. Not that that's that big a deal. You wear it for for a couple hours. However, having 2 sets of the XP gear, that's going to be really, really useful. Smoke mentioned this to me and reminded me of this. I'm going to have 1 set that's got all my 258 mods for all of my alts that are level 70 and need to get to 75. Then I'm going to have another set for like my new Nautilon. So my new Nautilon named Will Smith's baby can can use that XP armor at level 1.
You guys think he's joking, but he did make a character called Will Smith's baby.
At least to save the name. It's not named Max, so I won't play it. But now I've got the name saved because that's the most appropriate name for a Nautilon. So I'll pull that out for a podcast in the next couple weeks and podcast on Will Smith's baby. So we mentioned it a little bit. How does the leveling seem slow to you, Seema? Does it take a long time to get to level 75?
It's hyper fast. It's so fast.
I meant to try it on a free-to-play account or an account with none of the boosts.
Oh, yeah.
I still expect by the end of story you're probably going to hit 75. It's just so fast.
I mean, I don't find it completely unexpected, right? Because it's kind of how this game is. It's like travel and leveling are fast.
Right. And it's not about the leveling. You do get to level,
Yeah.
but it's not about the leveling. Now, gear is second. Gear has two parts. We've talked about this in the past few weeks to prep everybody. There's gear vertical and gear horizontal. In gear vertical, we're all trying to get to 306. Couple things there that a couple people I saw in chat that were saying a few things about it. The gear colors, green, blue, and purple, are not really what they used to mean. There is no way to get a 268 blue or purple piece. So there's not like a premium grade of 268. There is 268, and that's green. Starting at 274, things start to turn blue. And then starting at I don't even know when it starts, 290, things turn purple or whatever. So when you start opening your renown crates and you start getting gear and you start getting mission rewards and you say, another piece of green junk. If it's a higher item level than you currently have, it is not junk. It is an upgrade. You need to equip it. It is important to you. It is what you should be getting. You should be happy. Damn it.
Yeah, because you got to work yourself up to blue.
So, okay, so maybe it's 276. So Smoke is saying 274 is still green. And yes, I agree. 274 is still green. The 276s I was seeing were blue. But once you start getting to that 276 and above, they won't be green anymore.
So we're not saying that it's great gear. We're saying that you need to equip it so that you can get to higher level gear. That's all.
And it says... So Smoke's point is it's unoptimized. Yes, technically it's unoptimized. You could optimize it though. It's not, and you could get a random roll or a random piece of it that is relatively optimized, and the best that you could get if you wanted a full set of 270. It's never going to be blue or purple though. An optimized perfect set of 270 will still always be green, just the way that they're working the system now. So it's not grades within a tier. Those tiers are the part of the vertical progression is sort of my point there. The horizontal progression are the sets. So these, I've got a couple set pieces here. I've got the tacticals which sort of fall into that category. At the end of the story, I got to pick the pants. I don't know why you only get to pick pants, but I got to pick pants from one of 3 different sets. I picked this set, which I happened to like the best at the time. I forgot exactly why. I think one of the sets was definitely a PvP set. Another set I thought was mediocre. This set is the Entertainer's Greaves, which again won't be a long-term set that I'll use for the most part, but I will use it on occasion, and I really like the 4-piece set bonus on it. The 4-piece set bonus on the Entertainer set is entering combat improves nearby allies, increasing their mastery, endurance, and rate of experience point gain. I thought that was kind of cool. So
it's cute.
Yeah, and it's unique and it's cute and it's different. Cute. It's not my word. That's Seema's word. Cool.
I mean, it's cute because giving other people an little XP boost that they will need for like
right. Somebody brings in an
hour and a
alt
half,
and they're coming to
Yeah.
a leveling night. I'll swap, like an MFN.
Yeah.
I'll swap into my entertainer set
exactly.
and give him an XP boost, and then I'll be the hero of the day. But I'm already a hero. Why can you not mount? You
Yeah.
can't mount in on Hutbreaker's compound. Come on, Hutbreaker. Well, we won't talk too much about Hutbreaker, and maybe till the end, because it's not. I mean, it's a character, but it's not really a plot point. But Charles had a really good post with some inspiration for Hutbreaker that I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that's gearing. How about rep, which I thought was interesting? Conquest points, renown points, reputation. This is a change that I was a little bit surprised by. When you get a mission reward that rewards a reputation, which would have been like a reputation item that you went into your inventory and you clicked, that doesn't happen anymore. If it rewards reputation, you'll see the reputation item as the reward. It gets applied automatically. This is a double-edged sword with the positive edge slightly more blunt than the negative edge, which is a little bit cuts a little deeper. So positive, you don't have to click those things anymore. It happens automatically. You're just getting a bunch of rep along the way. Cool. The bad side is you can't bank those rep tokens. If
Right.
if they add a new event to the game, and that event takes 5 weeks basically to get to legendary, and that event only shows up once a month, no one will be hitting legendary for that new event reputation for 5 months. Because the way we've been doing it now is I'll run it in the first week so many times that I've got all those rep tokens that by the end of the 5th week, by server reset on the 5th week, I will hit legendary. Even if the event doesn't
Right.
come back. We won't be able to do that anymore.
Right.
It's probably more the way they intend the game to be played, but it's a change. And,
It is a change.
so I
And it's,
consider it.
I mean, it's gonna make it easier on inventory because and easier on other things. We just don't have to think about it.
Right.
I mean, the upside is we don't have to think about it, and the downside is there's no benefit to thinking about it.
Right. You can't think about it if you wanted to. You can't plan it. You can't.
Right.
You can't
Right.
game the system.
Yeah, you lose some control there.
Now, I already said a little bit about how I feel about the planets and the environments. How do you feel about the planets and the environments, Seema?
I I feel okay about them. They are beautiful. I am still in my initial period where I feel disoriented and I don't know how to get places and I don't have all the routes in and out of sort of memorized so that when I see something on the map I don't immediately the maps don't really connect up in a way that shows you how to get where you want to go and I have to get over that initial period, but it is beautiful. And like we talked about the textures earlier, they're really impressive. And the look of the city and the hunting lodge, the city uh, is or Isis or however you say that, and the hunting lodge are very beautiful and colorful, which I like.
Yes. They're done well. They're great for that kind of. I mean, Onderon's a city that's been in lore. It's a cool place. It's a place everybody should sort of understand and know about. It's been in Knights of the Old Republic too. As I've said, I really like the design and feel and that sort of the cyberpunk space pirate feel of Mech Shah. The idea
Yeah.
of a hollowed out asteroid with a force field enclosing it that's now a shipyard and a pirate stronghold. It is definitely a maze. It's tough. It's not easy to get around. It's not easy to find your way. I still kind of like that though too. In fact, I wish it was a little bit more. I like how you
Yeah.
go down below to get to
Right.
some of the taxi pads.
It makes perfect sense for it to be that way.
I would love. I feel like I would pay them to let me design a stronghold, and the way I would design a stronghold is, this was another pet peeve of mine on Mech Shah was they cut the taxis off. The taxis are the fade to black kind of taxis, which are quick taxis.
Yeah.
Which is great, but on the PTS.
But you want the Nar Shaddaa taxi where you can ride through the air and see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see it. They go to black too fast. I wish they
Yeah.
didn't go to black. See there, now it went to black already, and it doesn't fade out of black until you're almost to the other landing pad. If you had more of that sort of ability to see more of the graphical view from the outside, and look how long it stays black. It's really cool from far out as well. I wish we got more of a chance to see that.
Yeah.
And then
I agree.
and then I would build is to if you look in the cutscene and you sort of look a little bit out as you're looking out, there's all these vertical stacks of it almost looks like containers. If you watched the movie Ready Player One and the housing that was built in the shipping containers that were stacked up like 100 containers high, that's what these pillars look like here in sort of in the open area outside the main parts of Mech Shah. That's where I would build a stronghold. So I would have it overlooking some of the downtown area of the of Mekshah, being able to see all of the cyberpunky things going on, the cool parts of Mekshah, especially the shipyard dockyard is outside the cantina. The Slugfall Cantina is really cool. And then I would make the stronghold very, very vertical. So again, I keep saying it. I love the environments. Think they're really cool. Mekshah in particular, I will be living here. Come visit anytime you want. I'm now the king of Mekshah. And as someone said, somebody's called it Max Shah. There you go. Whoever said that, touche. Well done.
Yeah. I'm not going to call it Max Shop.
Here's a note I had. You can go. Fine. It is though. In my head, I'll hear you saying Max Shop. If you go to the Slugfall Cantina, I'm gonna go there real quick. The first bar on the right when you go into the cantina, and I guess a couple of the bars around, they have clickable drinks, free drinks on the bar. You can click on it and you drink the free drinks. So that's awesome. Also, this place is great. Free drinks. What could be better? The cantina is great. Hutbreaker's compound is great. Here, I'm outside. This is one of my favorite areas. Outside the Slugfall Cantina. We showed this when we were out here. We couldn't show you Hutbreakers, but we could show you this area. I still like it. Go all the way to the ends of these docks outside the harbor and look back. Just look back at the city. Look at this. Well, as you can see, this is what I made the new background of the podcast. And then in the cantina itself is really cool. And here I'm going to grab a free drink and then we can continue on because I know we're running along again tonight as we keep doing. But I'm having fun.
Come back tomorrow.
this dialogue of the NPC here he's talking about the bartender's cutting him off. And the bartender says, if you can tell me how many drinks you've had, I'll let you have another. And the guy's like, ugh. You can't tell him. Anyway, wait, why can't I click it? What? Oh, am I disconnecting? No, come on. Oh, there we go. Clicking my free drink. Drinking my free drink. Sweet. All right, what's next?
Because drinks in other places are so expensive.
But I click it and I drank it on the bar.
Yes.
And it's sitting there waiting for me on the bar, right? It's right there for me. Here's
Nothing bad could happen. It's totally a den of criminals and pirates, but just drink whatever you find.
Hey,
It'll be no problem.
Hey. Come on. Look. Don't be putting them down here. Look at the band. The band's jamming up here on the stage. Look at that drummer. That's not a drum, but he's got a couple drumsticks and he's pounding away up there. What does he do? What's this little Rhodian, this crazy Rhodian doing? That's not a drum. They gave him drumsticks. They gave him drum. They should have given him a drum kit. He's doing he's like doing a whole drum kit move. There's a couple.
Well, I mean,
crazy
it must be a
Rhodians
drum
here.
then.
That's cool.
Oh, maybe it's a xylophone. Yeah, that's what it is.
This is what Max
But
Rebo
you're
plays.
right.
This is not. This is more like a keyboard. This is a keyboard organ kind of instrument that Max Rebo plays. This crazy Rhodian is.
But you're right. He is.
banging on it like
He
a
is
drum.
doing drumming animations. Yeah. Okay.
So this is the new content. What about the old content, Seema? We've gone back to a couple things. Why don't we double down on that? We mentioned it a little bit when we started, but
Yeah. So you're talking about our trip down to Toro's Courtyard,
Tabor's Courtyard,
for instance.
which now we think was bugged, and and Kraga's Palace.
Right. So I guess this is a question of the scaling, how it's working. I think. Well, so let's just talk about Karaga's Palace because I
Right.
think that was working as intended. It was tougher in that it took longer to kill the bosses, but I think they achieved. I think they achieved a certain balance where they wanted things to be less easy, but also they wanted story mode to not require voice. So, voice coordination. So they made the fights, more health, or less damage or whatever. We do less damage or they have more health, whatever the combination is. They made the fights a little bit more epic in terms of they take longer, but they didn't. Well, they wouldn't have, but they didn't add mechanics or anything like that that would have to be coordinated. So that's my take on it.
Right. So, and they've changed those mechanics for a little while now. I don't
Yeah,
think they've changed the mechanics
it's not.
more. It is slightly harder, but not significantly harder. So
Right.
it takes a
Right.
little bit longer, but not a lot longer.
they-
It's not going to be
I
game
guess what I
breaking
mean
for
is
any of
they
the
made
pugs.
it harder without adding mechanics that would make it so that they couldn't, so that you can't coordinate without voice,
Right.
or so that you can't, whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Tabora's Courtyard was game breaker for us, but we think that
But
we ran
now,
into that
yeah.
bug, and we must have, and that makes a lot of
Right.
sense. If we had 8 people in a 16-person version of Tabora's Courtyard, so we should have tried it that second time that we went in.
I was just gonna say that. Looking back, we should have, because we queued again, hoping to get something else, and we got to Boros Courtyard again. We should have gone back in because we might have gotten the 8-man version, and then we wouldn't. We would have been totally mystified.
Look at this NPC. She's at the, is this a Pazak table? Sabak, I always get Sabak and Pazak mixed up. She gets mad at what's going on at the table, and she stands up and stomps a little bit, and she gets mad, and she walks away from the table, and she turns around and sits back down. I'm just so amused by this place. Is this other NPC over here? This woman, yeah, this woman who sits really aggressively. She's like gets really mad, and she leans back, and she's like pushing her chips in. She's not as angry as she was on the PTS. Nice little casino.
What, they mellowed her out?
Apparently,
for
yeah. No,
live?
she was an angry elf on the PTS. Now she's just look. She just does that little chip slide. Pushes the chips in. She's on a loop. Glitch in the matrix.
Yep.
Conquest has changed. Conquest is,
Yeah, but it feels the same.
it kind of feels
So
the
far.
same. Yeah, I guess it does. I hit my
I
conquest
mean,
target.
we'll see if we make our guild target, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I easily made my personal target.
That'll be the key. I want to see how easy it is to make the guild target. We know a lot of people are playing, a lot of people are leveling. The guild target being up at 5 million, and well, now it's here. It's Thursday, and we're about halfway done. I think the guild target we're a little bit lower, a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a little bit higher than it was. It's a little bit slower to reach the guild target than it used to be, because with the amount that people have been playing, we probably would have been over halfway by last night.
Right. I think you're right.
But in the individual targets, I'm now at 86,000 of 50,000, not even trying. And see, I've got like none of the big point weekly things done. So this is just doing stuff. And mostly I think it's been like Onderon Rampage. Galactic Rampage is gone. That's a little bit of a hit to us, because that was one of the things that we as a guild would go out and do. It's
Together.
It's important though from a rewards perspective. Your individual target, if you're a crafter. So now let's get to crafting. If you're an individual, your individual target will get you some of the grade 6 tier or the grade 11 exotics. So let me get to that in particular. What I care about, which is the solid resource matrix. That's the key material that you need to craft a lot of stuff. For example, the blue augments, the new tier of blue augments, and I can tell you what they are because I have them on my armor mech here. I can make a couple of the augments already. I've made a couple augment kits. Those are relatively easy to make. The augment slot components do disassemble out of the tier 11 even assembled components. The augments themselves, though, just the blue tier augments, take 5 solid resource matrices each and 10 process isotope stabilizers each. I don't think we got, by the end of Karaga's Palace, I don't think we got a total of 10 per person. You do get a lot of process isotope stabilizer, but I think we probably would have, by the end of Karaga's Palace, averaged out to about 6 per person. That means, and solid resource matrix in particular, if you're not in a guild or you don't reach your guild target, then you're only getting personal target. In order to create a full set of augments for your character, 14 augments, you need 35 characters worth of personal conquest rewards to make a full set of augments. 35 characters need to hit their personal target of 50,000 points each to make one full set of augments. That seems crazy to me. Now, you only get 2 for your personal reward. You get 4 for hitting guild target on top of that personal reward. So that brings it down to only 14 characters or 12 characters that need to hit the target. That's still insane, because you're not going to even augment just one set of gear. Well, maybe you'll have less sets of gear than you augment, because you're going to be passing gear around between more characters these days, because it's all legacy bound. But you're still going to need to be augmenting out a PvP set and a PvE set, and you're going to have these different set bonuses that you're going to want to try out. You're going to want to augment those out. You're going to have your healing set. You're going to have your tanking sets. We're going to need a lot of augments. I guess we're not going to be making very many of these augments anytime soon, because how 5 solid resource matrices per augment? That seems crazy still.
Yeah, it does.
Have you crafted anything yet, Seema? Are you feeling
No,
crazy? Are
no.
you welcome to Crazy Town yet?
No, I crafted a few things to finish up leveling to 600 so that I could then buy the crew skill, but I haven't actually crafted anything of the new stuff.
The other part of Crazy Town that I still think is crazy is the green tier 11 gear that you can start making, the 268. Where is it? Where even is it? Am I looking in the wrong place? Is that what this is all? Is this the 268? Okay, so yep. The recipes that you train off the trainers are all 268 non-moddable pieces that you can make with 8 solid resource matrices and 20 process isotope stabilizers, and then a bunch of the other components. And with all of that, with 8 solid resource matrices and 20 process isotope stabilizers, I can make one piece of 268 green non-moddable armor. Why would I ever do that?
Right.
Because you get a full set of 268 for finishing the class story. So I would never do that, except maybe to take it and disassemble it and try to get a more rare schematic. So if I'm going to have to be rolling the dice to try to disassemble this piece, and I had to spend 8 solid resource matrices to make it, that's going to make me crazy when I fail 50 times in a row, even though it's a 90% chance of getting the schematic, because that's what's going to happen to me.
Right. Of course.
I know I'm getting a little ranty on this again.
And it's not even that you might want to make that gear. Like, say you had an alt that was never going to do the story and you leveled them up to 75 just doing other content. You still aren't going to want to make gear for that character, because
No.
every other piece of gear that you get is bind on legacy. So that person could have better than 268 gear just from everybody else's leavings.
Right. I'm just going to give them my 306 gear in a cool set with a cool set bonus. I would never give them this junk. I will never make this unless I find out that it's the only way to get. Well, even then, I'm not gonna. I'm even if I could reverse engineer this and get a blue schematic, and then reverse engineer that and get a 306 purple schematic of some kind of piece of armor, I'm still never gonna do it. I'm never gonna bother. I'm never gonna make it, because I'll never make the purple piece.
So, I mean,
yeah, I just won't.
this is something that MMOs in general struggle with, is how to make crafting relevant. And I just think they should maybe possibly just give up on making it relevant gear-wise and making it relevant by having it make other things that people want. like mounts and pets and
Mounts and pets and
maybe
cosmetic stuff,
cosmetic stuff.
for one.
Yeah.
The second thing I
Yeah.
really think they could do with their new horizontal progression system is they could put a craftable set of set bonus shells on the armor mech. And the armor mech can make
Right.
one of the cool sets. And maybe it's not a perfect set. Maybe it's not one of the highest performing sets, but like the entertainer set. That would be a good one. It would be a cool thing that you could make that isn't game breaking. It's sort of off on the side, and the armor mech could make that and sell it. And anyone who wanted an entertainer set could go to their favorite armor mech and get it made. That would be cool. And then it would be something that would make making armor
Yeah, fun stuff.
worthwhile.
Right.
Okay. Two quick things, because again, wow, we're going for forever. But this is the launch of a new expansion, so fine, we're gonna go long again. I know we're like going long every week, but this is supposed to be designed to be like a 45-minute podcast. I don't think we've done 45 minutes in the last 2 years, but
No, I don't think so either.
Dailies. I did all of the dailies I could find. I did. So let's see. I only found 3 on Mech Shah, and I put them all in my spreadsheet, and I did each one individually, and I did them alone and not combining them, so I could sort of time what I felt like and this is me doing it the first time through, so you could probably get a little bit more efficient, but I was just doing it. I did the 2 heroic 2s on Mech Shah, and the 1 normal daily I found on a data pad in the cantina, just hanging out there. Another cool place, reason to go get your free drink in the cantina. You can pick up this daily after you do the story. I did those 3 on Mech Shah, and then Onderon is really the main place to do your dailies. There's a meta daily to do 6 dailies, and then there's a weekly to do 10 dailies. You can do all 10 dailies in one day. There are enough dailies to get them all in one day. In fact, there are 12 dailies. 12 or 11. I don't know if Onderon Collector is a daily. So I've got to double check that one. So there might only be 11. But then to do these, most of them were just moderately easy or moderate. A couple of them had bonuses, but only a couple. A couple then were hard, or not very many. I only marked 1 hard here. Maybe I'll mark this second one hard that ended up taking 9 minutes. One of them took 11 minutes, that Forgotten Treasures. You have to go down into a tomb, and it's sort of a maze, and you got to find a bunch of stuff down there. That one was a pain and took me a while. And then one of the heroic 2s on Mech Shah I count as hard, because you had to go into 3 instance locations and fight in each one of those. And those fights, they're heroic 2s. I was able to solo them, but it was a fight. It was a definite fight. I was CCing things. I was, getting pretty low on health there a couple times. My companion died a couple times. They're significant. I will publish this somewhere so that you can see if you were only going to do maybe 4 or 5 or 6 in a day to get that 6 daily done. The notes I have and the timings I have for which are the fastest, so that you could just pick out the fastest ones.
Cool.
Which I think will be useful.
Yeah, I want that.
Any comments you have, Seema, on the dailies so far? I mean,
Nah, I haven't. I might have more to say about them next week, but I haven't experienced them.
there's rep to get on Onderon. There's not rep to get on Mech Shah. You'll want to do them. Well, we'll have it available weekly. We won't have to come back once a month to do them. We won't be able to bank rep tokens, though. But we'll be able to do them for the rep, and there's a good amount of renown depending on what boosts you're running. Each one of those dailies was running between 9,000 and double that based on your bonus and boost to 18,000 rep. And then the weekly was quite valuable. The weekly for Onderon was quite valuable because you got a gold level equipment box, which means a set piece came out of it, or a tactical, and you got 30,000 credits and 85,000 renown points. So definitely a good one. And then the do 6 dailies, you got another equipment box, which was purple tier equipment box. So you get something good out of that, and 27,000 credits and 19,000 renown. 19 to 38, depending on, again, on your bonuses running. Cool stuff. All right, that wraps up our general discussion of first impressions. For the last couple minutes, we're going to give our general, we're not going to do spoilers on story points, but we're going to give our general impressions of the story. So if you don't even want the general impressions, you know, sort of where we feel that the story went and what we feel like it so far, our quick couple comments, you can cut it off. So it's only going to be another sort of 5 minutes of the podcast here. Feel free to stop and you can come back to it after you do the story, but we're going to go through our general impressions now. And maybe in 2 weeks, we'll go through a story spoiler breakdown, because I would love to have that discussion too, because there's some fun things to talk about. So last chance, and
Here we go.
Minor spoiler time. What was your general impression of the story so far, Seema?
I liked a lot of the characterizations. I like the new character on the pub site, Arn, who's a Jedi Padawan. We do find out right away in a pretty expository speech why he's a cybernetic Jedi. But his personality is entertaining. We get to see more of Tau Eder, which I like. I like her. On the other side, there's some good cutscenes with Empress Asina, who's a character that I like. So characters, yes.
Characters, you're right. I would call characters, all of the characters are a strength. The characters are well drawn, they're well voice acted, they're well
rendered. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean both graphically and thematically and narratively.
Yeah.
What about story? Where are you at on that?
Yeah, like I'd rather not say because I actually haven't finished the story.
Okay. I'll give you my general impression, but that's a good thing. Cuz you should wait till it ends, cuz that I like the end. We do end in a cliffhanger, so that's again minor spoiler. We do end in a cliffhanger. This is definitely a beginning, not an ending. That could be frustrating to some people. I really, really like the beginning of where we're ending up. In general, though, my general impression of the story is the Onderon stuff I felt was fine. Not bad, but not the strongest stuff. Mechshaw, I really liked. I got into it. I really liked what was happening there. I liked the feel of it, of what you end up needing to do. I was a little bit disappointed on Mechshaw that the Imperial story and the Republic story are pretty much the same, except for the sort of the bookends of working with the characters on the Republic side or the Imperial side. The things you do with the Mechshaw inhabitants are the same. It's the same dialogue. It's the same choices on both Imperial and Republic. I was a little disappointed in that, because I liked it so much on the Imperial side, and I like the feel of it a little bit more on the Imperial side. It just sort of fits more with a place like Mechshaw. You put my goody two shoes Vanguard in there, leader of Havoc Squad, and he's not as amused by backstreet dealings with pirates
and slavery.
And well, neither of mine are down with slavery or indiscriminate assassination, which again limits you.
Right, it does.
The Onderon stuff, I liked the Republic side of Onderon much better than I liked the Imperial side. The Imperial side wasn't bad, but it was snotty dumb character NPCs that you have to deal with. A recommendation for anybody that hasn't done them both yet: do the Imperial side first, then do the Republic side. In my view, they sort of match up like this. It's you do the Imperial side, and then the Republic side starts, but like 3/4 through the Imperial story, sort of like the ending, the finale of the Imperial story is where the Republic story starts, And then the Republic story is also then some of the cleanup and wrap up and what happens after. I like that. I like how that turned out, and I enjoyed doing that on my Republic character, and I'm glad I did them in that order. And then we'll hold off, but the end is a big deal. The ending is a big deal, and it's a beginning, not an ending. Every death is a doorway, or what? And everything is a thing.
Well, I mean, this is the beginning
And
of
there's
6.x.
and there's two major plot divergences. Two things happen at the end that I'm chomping at the bit to see where they go. And all of our characters are sort of floating around and have interesting things that we'll want to see them do in the future as well. I mean, as you said, Arn's a new character, but he's just getting warmed up. He's just starting.
Right.
So
Right.
we'll have to see how he develops and where he goes. Everybody's I liked seeing Henri coming back and hanging out with her.
Yeah, I love her dialogue. Is got so much personality and comes across so naturally. I just think she's a terrific character.
And then, well, why don't you, Seema, to as a final sort of kind of plot point, what's your first impression of the intro cutscene dialogue to get to Duxon?
I mentioned that earlier, but yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's an Imperial agent basically connecting up with two Circa sort of managers that she's had dealings with before, and we're just watching them go back and forth, and they're in a way they're hilarious, but they're also like terrifying. And they have beautiful accents too.
Oh, he only
Really well done.
he only ate three. He only ate three of the researchers there, didn't he? Oh, so he exploded. He caught fire. He burst into flames. Good times. I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
those two, the two, not the Scottish Imperial, but the two other ones. They basically are your narrators and your coaches going through the whole Duxon operation.
oh, that's good to know.
So they're they've got you on comms. They're telling you where to go and what to do. So they stick with you through it, which is pretty cool.
I mean, Zerka Corporation has always been one of my favorite sort of bad guys.
Right.
You know, going back to like CZ-198, because I felt like it felt cathartic, you know, going through these cubicles and killing like the middle managers.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what that says about me.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and come in on. No, you're not,
on Saturday.
Bob.
Bob.
Bang. Pew pew. Put a lightsaber right through. What was it? That wasn't Bob. The Bobs were the two other guys. That was Lumberger. Gonna put a lightsaber right through Lumberger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait to get into Duxon. I love that operation. It's not part of the main story. It's sort of a side story, something that's going on the side, and awesome in so many ways. We gotta get in there. Get in there and get going on what we need to do.
Get going.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. And speaking of getting going, we should be getting going because it is now quite late and we've gone quite long, and we should wrap this up. So with that, our EPC 314 droid here is ready to get kicked out and airlocked to broadcast this podcast to all of you. Please keep up with us on Twitter at MaxDeGray and at AIESEMA. And if you know any cool people that should be playing with us, tell them to come check us out. They can find us at aie-guild.org. They can also find us on Starforge. They can jump in our guild Discord and get a guild invite because we would love to have you. And we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.